Brahmanda Purana, Part 1, Section 2, Anusanga Pada, Chapter 13. The real nature of Kala, time, seasons, Rtus, as Pitrs means. Suta said, even as Brahma was creating sons formerly in the Swayambhuva Manvantara, the human beings, the Asuras, and the Devas were born out of his limbs. The Pitras also were born, considering him as their father. The mode of their creation has been described before. Let it be heard briefly once again. After creating the Devas, Asuras, and the human beings, Brahma took pride in them. He conceived of a further creation also. The Pitras, who were being considered like fathers, were born of his flanks. The 6 seasons, beginning with Madhu, spring, were born of his flanks. They call them Pitras. The Vedic text says the seasons are the Pitras and Devas. In all the Manvantaras, past and future, the same is repeated. Formerly, these were born in the auspicious Manvantara of Swayambhuva. They are remembered by the name Agni Sattvas and Barhishads. Those of them who were householders who did not perform yajnas are remembered as the Pitras of the group Agnisvattas. They were not Ahitagnis, those who regularly maintained sacrificial fires. Those of them who performed yajnas are the Pitras known as Soma Pithins. Those who performed Agnihotras are remembered as the Pitras called Barhishads. In this sacred lore, it has been decisively mentioned that the Ritus seasons are the Pitras and the Devas. The months of Madhu and Madhava, that is Chaitra and Vaishakha, should be known as Rasas. The month of Shuchi and Shukra, that is Jyeshtha and Ashada, are Shushmins, lustrous ones. The months of Nabhas and Nabsis, that is Shravana and Bhadrapada, these two are cited as Jivas. The months of Isha and Urja, that is Ashvina and Kartika, are cited as Swadhavats. The months of Saha and Sahasya, that is Margashirsha and Pausha, are cited as Ghoras. The months of Tapas and Tapasya, that is the months of Magha and Phalguna, pertain to the winter. They are Manyumats. The units of time called masas, months, are included in the 6 periods of time, seasons. These are called Ritus. The Ritus are the sons of Brahma. They should be known as those identifying themselves with both sentiment and non identifying themselves with both sentient and non-sentient objects. In the abodes of Masa, month, and Ardhamasa, fortnight, the Ritus seasons are considered the Sthanins, the abiders. By means of the change of abodes, the Sthana, the Sthanabhimanins, those who identify themselves with the abodes, should be understood. The days, the nights, the months, the seasons, the ayanas, tropical transits of the sun, and the years are the abodes. The names of Abhimanins, deities identifying themselves, are in the same order. The Sthanins, those who identify themselves with the abodes who are established in these, are the states of time. They are having those as their own selves, since they are of the same essence as they. Understand as I shall mention them. The footnote says 55, 16 to 18 detail the units of time. The various units or states of time are the tithis of parvans, dates of lunar fortnights, the junctions, the fortnights that are on a par with halves of months, the moments, the kalas, the kashtas, the kalas, the kashtas, muhurtas, days and nights. 2 half months make one masa month. 2 months make what is called ritu. 3 ritus make one ayana, and the two ayanas, viz. The southern and the northern, together constitute a year. These are the abodes for the sthanins. The ritus are the sons of Nimi. Similarly, they should be known as six in number. The five types of subjects, that is, human beings, quadrupeds, birds, reptiles, and trees, are remembered as the sons of Ritu. They are characterized by their seasonal change. Since the mobile and the immobile beings are born through the artavas, seasonal changes, menstruation, etc., the artavas are fathers and the ritus are grandfathers. When they come together, the subjects of the Prajapati are born. Hence, the Vatsara year is considered the great grandfather of the subjects. These thanins of the nature of the abodes in their respective abodes have been recounted. They are declared as those who have the same names, the same essence, and the same nature as they, that is, units of time. It is Samvatsara, the year that is considered and remembered as Prajapati. Agni, the son of Samvatsara, is called Rita by scholars. Since they are born by Rita, they are called Ritus. Years should be known as having 6 seasons to the 5 types of subjects, viz. Bipeds, quadrupeds, birds, reptiles, and the stationary beings. There are 5 artavas, seasonal changes. The flower is remembered as kalartava, seasonal change indicating particular period of time of trees. The state of being Ritu and Artava is recounted as Pitritva, the state of being Pitrs. Thus, the Ritus and the Artavas should be known as Pitras because all the living beings are born of them through the Ritu Kala, the time of Ritu, period favorable for conception. The footnote says this explains why Ritu seasons are regarded as Pitras, means. Hence, these Artavas are indeed the Pitras. So we have heard. These have stayed throughout the Manvantaras as Kalabhimanins, identifying themselves with the Kala or time. They are endowed with causes and effects. They have pervaded everything through their supremacy, and indeed these identify themselves with the abodes and they stand here in consequence of that special contact. The Pitras are of various kinds, viz. Agni, Sattvas, and Barhishads. 2 daughters well known in the worlds were born of Swadha and the Pitras. They were Mena and Dharani, by whom the entire universe is sustained. These two were expounders of Brahman. These two were yoginis also. Mena was the mental daughter of those Pitras who are mentioned as Agni Sattvas. They are remembered as Upahutas too. Dharani is remembered as the mental daughter of Barhishads. These Pitras, the Barhishads, are remembered as Soma pines too. The footnote says there is difference of opinion among the Puranas about the names of the daughters of these Pitras. Such differences are reconciled by presuming that the events in Puranas refer to different kalpas or manvantaras. These two Pitrs gave their splendid daughters in marriage for the sake of righteousness. The Agni Swatas gave Mena as the wife unto the Himavan. The Barhishads gave the splendid daughter Dharani as wife unto Meru. Understand their grandsons. Mena, the wife of Himavan, gave birth to Mainaka. She gave birth to Ganga also, the most excellent river, who became the wife of the salt sea. Krauncha is the son of Mainaka. It is due to him that the continent Krauncha has been so named. Dharani, the wife of Meru, gave birth to the son Mandara, endowed with divine medicinal herbs, as well as three well reputed daughters. They were Vela, Niyati, and the third daughter Ayati. Ayati is remembered as the wife of Dhatri and Niyati that of Vidhatri. The progeny of these two, formerly in the Swayambhuva Manvantara, have already been recounted. Vela, sea shore, gave birth to a praiseworthy, literally uncensored, daughter of Sagara, the ocean. The daughter of the ocean, named Savarna, became the wife of Prachina Barhis. 10 sons were born of Savarna of Prachina Barhis. All of them were called Prachetasas and were masters of the science. Lord Daksha, the son of the self-born Lord, assumed the status of their son. It was on account of the curse of the three-eyed Lord, and it took place in the Chakshusha Manvantara. On hearing this, Samsapayani asked Suta, how was it that Daksha was born formerly in the Chakshusha Manvantara due to the curse of Bhava? Even as we ask, narrate that to us. On being told thus, Suta addressed Samsapayani and told the story connected with Daksha, along with the cause of the curse of Triambaka. Suta said, Daksha had 8 daughters who have already been mentioned by me. The father brought them from their husbands' houses to his own house and honored them. Then, honored very well thus, all of them stayed in their father's house. The eldest among them was named Sati, who was the wife of Triambaka, three-eyed god Shiva. Daksha, who hated Shiva, did not invite that daughter. Maheshwara never bowed down to Daksha. The son-in-law, who was stationed in his own brilliance, did not bow down to his father-in-law. On knowing that all her sisters had arrived at her father's house, Sati too went to her father's house, although she had not been invited. The father accorded to her an honor inferior to that accorded to other daughters, and which was disagreeable to her as well. That goddess, who had been infuriated and annoyed, spoke to her father, O Lord, by according to me a welcome and honor inferior to that of my younger sisters. O Father, by dishonoring me thus you have done a despicable thing. I am the eldest and the most excellent. It behoves you to honor me. On being told thus, Daksha spoke to her with his eyes turned red. These girls, my daughters, are more worthy of respect and more excellent than you, O Sati. Their husbands also are highly respected by me. They are highly proficient in the Vedas, endowed with good power of penance, possessing great yogic power, and very pious. O Sati, all of them are superior to Triambaka on account of their god qualities and are more praiseworthy. They are my excellent sons-in-law, viz. Vasishtha, Atri, Pulastya, Angiras, Pulaha, Kratu, Bhrigu, and Marichi. Since Sharva always defies and disregards me, I do not honor and welcome you. Indeed, Bhava is antagonistic to me. Thus spoke Daksha then, on account of his deluded mind, the consequence of which was a curse unto himself and to the great sages who were mentioned by him. On being told thus, the infuriated goddess said to her father thus: Since you insult me, although I am devoid of defects verbally, mentally, and physically, O father, I am abandoning this body born of you. Then, being infuriated and aggrieved on account of that dishonor, goddess Sati bowed down to the self-born Lord and spoke these words: Wherever I am born again with a brilliant body, whether I am not born of a womb or whether I am born of a righteous person, I should necessarily attain the status of the virtuous wife of the self-possessed three-eyed Lord alone. Seated there itself, she entered the yogic trance. She united her soul to the Supreme Lord. With her mind, she retained the Agneyi Dharana. Then the fire born of her soul rose up from all her limbs, kindled by the wind. It reduced her body to ashes. The trident bearing Lord heard about the death of Sati. Shankara came to know about their conversation factually. Hence the Lord became angry with Daksha and the sages. Rudra said, Bhurloka is spoken of as the first one among all the worlds. At the behest of Parameshtin, Supreme Lord, I shall sustain it always. All the lustrous worlds stand by on being held onto this earth. As his behest, I shall hold them here always. There is the fourfold classification of the Devas. Still, they partake of food at one place. I will not partake of food along with them. Therefore, they will offer it separately unto me. O Daksha, since on account of me sinless Sati had been insulted and all other daughters were praised along with their husbands, hence, when the Vaivashvata Manvantara begins, these great sages who are not born of a womb will be born again during my second yajna. After announcing this to all of them, he cast Daksha once again. In the Chakshusha Manvantara, when Shukra's Homa is performed by Brahma, he will become a human king in the family of Chakshusha. He will be born as the grandson of Prachina Barhis and the son of Prachetas. He will be born by the name of Daksha itself as the son of Marisha, the daughter of Sakhins, trees. When the Vaivasvata Manvantara arrives, there also, O evil-minded one, I will cause obstacles in a holy rite endowed with virtue, though it may be difficult of access. Suta said, on hearing that, Daksha cursed Rudra once again. Since on account of me you rendered evil to the sages, the Brahmanas will not worship you along with the Devas in the course of a yajna. O ruthless one, after offering the ahuti unto you in the course of their holy rites, they will touch the holy water again. At the close of the yugas, they will abandon heaven and will stay here alone. Thereafter he, Rudra, is not worshipped along with the Devas, he is worshipped separately. Thereupon Daksha, who was thus addressed by Rudra of unmeasured splendor and cursed, abandoned his body, originating from the self-born Lord, and was born among human beings. After realizing the Lord and deity of Yajnas, Daksha, the householder, worshipped him with the entire yajna along with the other deities. After the advent of the Vaivasvata Manvantara, the lord of mountains begot of Mena the goddess Uma, who had been the noble lady Sati previously. She, who had been the noble lady Sati previously, became Uma afterwards. She is the wife of Bhava always. Bhava is never abandoned by her. Just as the noble lady Aditi follows forever Kashyapa, the son of Marichi, just as goddess Shri follows Narayana, just as Sachi follows Maghavan, that is Indra, so also Sati follows Bhava. These following noble ladies never leave off their husbands. Viz. Lakshmi does not leave off Vishnu, Usha does not leave off Surya, the sun, nor does Arundhati leave off Vasishtha. They return and are born again and again in the kalpas along with them. Thus Daksha was born as the son of Prachetas in the Chakshusha Manvantara. This has been heard by us that on account of the curse he was born second time as king as the son of Marisha and the 10 Prachetas. The 7 great sages, Bhrigu and others were born formerly in the first Treta Yuga of the Vaivashvata Manvantara. They assumed body from Varuna at that sacrifice of the great Lord. Between Daksha, the Prajapati, and Triambaka, the intelligent, self possessed Lord, there was intense enmity continued from their previous birth. Hence, intense enmity should never be pursued at the time of personal antagonism. Due to merits and demerits, the living being does not leave off the awareness of what is intensely conceived in the mind, though it may pertain to the previous birth. That should not be pursued by a learned person. Thus began the story that reads one of scenes and that pertains to Daksha. It has been formerly urged for narration by you. The footnote says this and a number of verses from this chapter are found in Vayu Purana chapter 31. This story had been recounted in the context of narration of the line of the Pitrs. Henceforth, I shall recount the Devas in the same order as that of the Pitrs. The footnote says Daksha in the second incarnation was descendant of Pitra gods. Wide verse 40 above. Hence the story of Daksha and the destruction of his sacrifice by Shiva is inserted here. Formerly, in the beginning of the Treta Yuga, in the Swayambhuva Manvantara, there were the Devas as Yamas, well known as Yamas, and they were the sons of Yajna. The footnote says from this verse the section of the race of gods Deva Vamsha begins. They were the well reputed sons of Brahma since they were Ajas, unborn. They are Ajitas, unconquered. These are the mental sons of Swayambhuva. They are named Shakta. Therefore, these are remembered as the three groups of Devas Yama, Ajita, and Shakta. The Chandajas were 33 in the creation of Swayambhuva. The footnote says Vayu Purana 31.5 reads Chandogaha, chanters of the Samaveda. The 12 Yamas are recounted as follows: Yadu, Yayati, Vivadha, Trashata, Mati, Vibhasha, Krato, Prayati, Vishruta, Dyuti, Vayavya, and Samyama. Yadu and Yayati were two devas. The 12 Ajitas are as follows: Asama, Ogra Drishti, Sunaya, Shuchishravas, Kevala, Vishwarupa, Sudaksha, Madhupa, Turiya, Indrayuk, Yukta, and Ugra. The 12 Shaktas are recounted as follows: Janiman, Vishwadeva, Javishta, Mitavan, Jara, Vibhu, Vibhava, Richika, Durdiha, Shruti, Grinana, and Brihat. These were Somapines in the Swayambhuva Manvantara. These Ganas were lustrous, valorous, and very powerful at the outset. Lord Vishwabhuk was their Indra. The Asuras who lived then were their cousins and kinsmen. The Suparnas, Yakshas, Gandharvas, Pishachas, Uragas, and Rakshasas. These, along with the Pitras and the Devas, constituted the eight Deva Yonis, divine groups. They passed away in the Swayambhuva Manvantara. They have thousands of subjects, progeny. They were richly endowed with majestic luster, beauty, longevity, and physical strength. They are not mentioned in detail here, lest there should be irrelevancy of context. The Swayambhuva creation should be understood by means of the current one. The footnote says the author regards the first Manu, Swayambhuva, and the present Manu, Vaivashvata, as more important and gives so to say a comparative statement between the events etc. in these two Manvantaras. The past creation is observed through the present one, which is Vaivashvata, in regard to the subjects, deities, sages, and Pitras. Understand the seven sages who had been existing before: Bhrigu, Angiras, Marichi, Pulastya, Pulaha, Kratu, Atri, and Vasishtha. These seven were in the Swayambhuva Manvantara. Agnidra, Agnivahu, Medha, Medhatithi, Vasu, Jyotishman, Dyutiman, Havya, Savana, and Shatra. These were the 10 sons of Swayambhuva Manu. They were extremely mighty with the velocity of the wind. They were kings of great magnificence in the first Manvantara. That race, along with the Asuras, the excellent Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Uragas, and Rakshasas, the Pishachas, the human beings, the Suparnas, and the groups of Apsaras cannot be recounted in due order even in the course of hundreds of years. Since their names are many, where is the limit to their number in that family? Those subjects who were in the Swayambhuva Manvantara with the names of the yugas passed away due to the great efflux of time in the order of ayanas, years, and yugas. The sage asked, who is this lordly Kala, time? Who is this annihilator of all living beings? Of what is he the source of origin? What is his beginning? What is the intrinsic essence, his soul? What is his eye? What is the form? What are remembered as his limbs? What is his name? What is his self? Mention these factually. The footnote says this is a new section dealing with the nature of Kala, time. Reference Vayu Purana 31.22. Suta said, let the real nature of Kala, time, be listened. Let the real nature of Kala, time, be listened to. The footnote says 55.111 to 112 describe the person of Kala, while verse 113 gives the 5 divisions of Kala, time, viz. The day, the fortnight, the month, the season, and the ayana. After listening, let it be retained in the mind. The sun is his source, and the period of the twinkling of the eye is his beginning. He is called Sankhya Chakshus, having the number for his eyes. The day and night together constitute its form. The nimeshas, moments, are his limbs. The year, Samvatsara, is his essence. His name is Kalatmaka, one whose soul is the digit. The Lord of subjects is of the nature of the present, future, and past times. Understand the condition of the Kala, divided into five, by means of the day, the fortnight, the month, the reasons, and the ayanas. The first year is Samvatsara, the second one is Parivatsara, the third one is Idvatsara, the fourth is Anuvatsara, and the fifth among them is Vatsara. That period of time is termed Yuga. The footnote says Kala is now identified with Yuga. It is comprised of 5 years which are named as Samvatsara, Parivatsara, Idvatsara, Anuvatsara, and Vatsara. The following verses describe the principle as to how and why Kratu Agni, the sun god, Soma, or the moon god, with Pitrs, the wind god, and Rudra should be associated with these 5 years. I shall explain their principle, Tattva, even as it is being recounted. Understand it that which is mentioned as Kratu and Agni is considered Samvatsara. This sun, the son of Aditi and the fire of time, is Parivatsara. Soma, the moon, which is of the nature of the essence of waters, which has two movements, the bright and the dark ones, that is, the bright half and the dark half of the month, is Idvatsara and has been decisively determined so in the Puranas. He who purifies the worlds with his 7 times 7 bodies, that is 49 maruts. He who blows favorable to the world, that wind is Anuvatsara. He who was born of the Ahamkara, ego of Brahma, as Uda, Udagrudra, that blue red complexioned Rudra, should be known as their Vatsara. The footnote says Udagrudra, Udagra Rudra, or we may adopt the reading of Vayu Purana 31.32a. Ahankarad Rudran Rudraha, Rudra who rode out of haughtiness and conceit. I shall explain his Satattva, essential nature. Understand it even as it is being recounted. Due to the contact of limbs and minor limbs, the Kalatman, the soul of time, is the great grandfather. He is the lord and source of origin of Rik, Yajus, and Saman. He is the master of the five, that is, day, fortnight, etc. He is Agni, Yama, Kala, Sambhuti, and Prajapati. He is source of origin of the sun. He is mentioned as Samvatsara by learned men. The sun should be known as Parivatsara. He is the source of origin of the divisions of Kala, time of the months, seasons, and the two ayanas of the planets, stars, chillness, heat, rain, span of life, and holy rites. The Bhaskara, sun, is the source of origin of the smaller divisions and the days. He is Vaikarika, an evolute of kindly disposition, the son of Brahma and the Lord protector of subjects. He is one. He is in a way not one. He is day, month, season, and grandfather. He is Aditya, Savitra, Bhanu, Jivana, enlivener, and honored by Brahma. He is the Prabhava, source of birth, and Apyaya, end or that in which they merge themselves at death of all living beings. Therefore, Bhaskara, the presiding deity of the Taras, constellations, should be known as the second Parivatsara. Since Soma, the moon god, is the lord of all medicinal herbs, since he is the grandfather, since he is the enlivener of all living beings, since he is the lord causing yoga, acquisition of what is not attained, and kshema, preservation of what is acquired, since he always looks after and upholds the universe by means of his rays, since he is the source of origin of the tithis, days of the lunar fortnight, junctions of Parvan's full moon and the new moon, since he causes the night, since he is the Prajapati with nectarine soul. For all these reasons, Soma, moon with the Pitrs, is remembered as Idvatsara. For the following reasons, Vayu, the wind god, is Anuvatsara. In the world, he is the propeller of all activities of the living beings through the five types of vital winds, viz. Prana, Apana, Samana, Vyana, and Udana. He causes the unified and simultaneous activities of the five units of the physical body, viz. The sense organs, the mind, the intellect, the memory, and the strength. He is the soul of all. He is the Lord of all worlds through the special winds, Avaha, Pravaha, etc. He exists through his seven times, seven bodies known as Maruts that render help to others. He is the maker of the destiny of all living beings. He is the Prabhanjana, violent gust of wind also. He perpetually causes the well-being of all living beings. He is the source of origin of fire, waters, earth, the sun and the moon. The wind is Prajapati. He is the soul of all the worlds. He is the great grandfather and he causes days and nights. Hence it is that Vayu, wind god, is Anuvatsara. All these four, that is Kala, the sun, the moon, and the wind god, are lords of subjects. They are born of the flanks of Brahma. They are the fathers of all the worlds. They have been glorified as the souls of the worlds. Bhava came out crying through the mouth of Brahma, who was meditating. The great Lord is mentioned in the Vedas of Rishi, sage, Vipra, Brahmana, the soul of the living beings, the great grandfather, the Lord of all living beings, and the Pranava, Om. It is through the penetration of the Atman soul that the limbs and minor limbs of the living beings take shape. Rudra, who causes Unmada, madness, and at the same time blesses, is called Vatsara. Thus, the sun, the moon, the fire, the wind, and Rudra are all identifiers with Yuga. Lord Rudra, who is the soul of Kala, is always the cause of annihilation. Lord Rudra entered this universe by means of his own brilliance. Due to the contact with the soul, that is the support by means of the bodies and the appellations, he enters the universe. Therefore, through his own vitality, he has the status of Deva, Pitra, and Kala, and this status blesses the worlds. It is the greatest. So, Rudra is always worshipped by those who are the knowers of that Rudra. Since the Lord is the master of the lords of subjects, since he is Prajapati, since he is the conceiver of all living beings, since Nila Lohita is the soul of all, resuscitates since Rudra resuscitates the fading and declining medicinal herbs again and again, since at the time when medicinal herbs decline, the Lord is worshipped by the Devas, the leader of whom is Prajapati and who seek fruits eagerly desired by them. He is worshipped by offering Purodasha in three Kapalas, otherwise called three Ambakas. So the Lord is called Triambaka. The footnote says this is repetition of the explanation of the identification of Triambaka and the three Kapalas, potsherds on which Purodasha is offered. The three Vedic meters is Gayatri, Trishtubh, and Jagati are remembered by the name Triambakas. Out of love, they are the sources of origin of the vegetable kingdom. The Purodasha offering, consecrated by the repetition of those three metrical verses united into one, is called Trikapala because it has three means and it is instilled with their virility in three ways. Hence, that Purodasha is Triambaka. Therefore, he, the Lord Rudra, is also declared as Triambaka. Thus, the Yuga is mentioned by learned men as one that consists of 5 years. The Samvatsara that has been mentioned by Brahmanas as one having 5 selves became a unit of 6 selves with the names of Madhu, spring, and other seasons. The footnote says the year said to be of 5 souls, wide verse 113, is again divided into 6 divisions according to season. The 5 Artavas are the sons of the Rtus. Thus, the creation is recounted briefly. Thus, the unattached Kala with many measures and units removes the lives of living beings and runs like the rapidly speeding current of water. The progeny of these cannot be enumerated authoritatively because they are innumerable. The group of sons and grandsons is endless. Glorifying this family of great lords of subjects of holy rites and meritorious fame, one shall achieve great siddhi, spiritual attachment.